I'm still here, sir. Oh, good evening, Mr. President and board members and parents and staff. Today we're talking about our annual public hearing that we are required to present. There are 7 pieces to the annual report that we'll be talking about this evening. We'll be talking about the 2017-18 Texas Academic Performance Report, or TAPER. That's our last piece of data that we were waiting on. We got that right before Christmas, and so we now have all the pieces to do our annual report. There's a TAPER for the district and for each campus. Then we'll also be talking about the PEAMS Financial Standard Report for the 16-17 Financial Actuary Report. Again, that's for the district and for each campus. We'll be talking about our 17-18 accreditation status, campus performance objectives, our report on violent or criminal incidents on campuses, and then student performance in post-secondary institutions that is presented by the Board of Higher Ed for each high school in the district. And then we'll talk a little bit about the glossary. So the 17-18 Texas Academic Performance Report, or TAPER. It's compiled by TEA for the district and each campus. It uses PEAMS and our student assessment data. There's new this year. We have 2 versions. We have an online version that is very dynamic, very interesting. It has some additional pieces of data that are not in the paper TAPER, which is what we're calling the traditional one. And you can find that on the TEA website. And they'll be adding more data to that as data comes available. And then we have what they're calling a scaled back version of a PDF, which we're referring to as the paper, and that is the compliance pieces we're required by legislation to include in our annual report. So, in the TAPER, there is a cover page, which gives our district rating on the district paper and the campus rating on a campus one. This year we have a letter grade for the district, and the campuses will say met standard or improvement required. We have a special education determination status at the district level, and armed service vocational aptitude battery test rating. That's at the district level only. That's new this year because of legislation. And then any distinction designations that were earned. Once you go into first page, it talks about star performance. It has all 3 performance rates this year, so you'll see approaches, meets, and masters this year. And they have recalculated the performance rate for 2017 so that you can get an apples-to-apples comparison, because there were changes in how those were calculated for 2018. So we'll have approaches, meets, and masters, and you'll have it for each assessment. Then you'll also have it combined, all grades and all subjects, and then all grades by subject. And that's for the accountability year, so it includes summer, December, and then the spring administrations. And this is only counting students that are actually in our accountability set, so they were on our campus on testing day and also on PEAMS snapshot day. Okay. So to highlight a little data, we have put together some graphs looking at the large public independent school districts in San Antonio. We've also included the state and the region so you can get an indication of that. We combine every test we gave, every subject, every version. We're in the top 5 in every area. So all of them combined, compared to our neighboring districts, we come in at 4th. If we look at just reading, we come in 4th. Just math, we come in 5th, just barely, almost 4th. Writing, we come in 4th. Science, we come in 5th. And social studies, we come in 3rd. So we just wanted to highlight that one piece of data out of the TAPER for you. Continuing on in the TAPER, the next piece that you'll find is school progress or academic growth. This is a new section, so you only see 2018 data for this section because it was calculated so much differently for 2018 than it had been in the past. Then you'll see performance of prior non-proficient students, how they performed in 2018. You'll see our Student Success Initiative performance. Our bilingual education or English as a second language performance measures broken out for that group of students. So it's looking at based on which program they're in, because there are different models. It's broken out by the bilingual program that they're in or ESL program, or if they're not receiving services, and then all of them together. The next piece of the paper is about participation. Tells you the percent tested and the percent not tested on STAR, and what percent of those tested were included in accountability. Then it goes into our attendance, graduation, and dropout rates, our college, career, military readiness data. Again, this is a new piece. So it's broken out by our college-ready graduates, looking at all the different areas where they could be considered college-ready, using TSI data, dual credit data, AP IB data, an associate's degree. And then our career military ready graduates, looking at if they're enlisted in the military, if they've earned an approved industry certification, or if they completed their IUP and are workforce ready, or they have been in a CTE coherent sequence of coursework, or they have actually enrolled in one of the branches of the U.S. military. The next piece of the paper talks about other post-secondary indicators. Then it goes into student information. So it looks at student enrollment by grade, ethnicity, and other identifying factors. Then it looks at staff information. So it looks at total staff by classification, by ethnicity and gender, highest degree held, turnover. Some new information is in staff as they've actually broken out the number of librarians and the number of counselors for the district, and then on the campus papers by campus. And then they have program information, our student enrollment for each program, the teachers for each program. So that's the pieces of the paper part. So Mr. Crisp is going to talk about our PEAMS financial standard reports.
Well, in the taper report, so this is based on the 17-18 school year, but they actually use our PEAMS financial data from 16-17. That's how they grade us. They use this data as part of our first rating. This is the same data that you will get when we do our district audit. It basically covers expenditures, revenues, our fund balances. It's listed on the website, so it's accessible to the public. And then they actually break it down by campus. So you can go on there and see per campus to make sure everything's equitable of what campus is, what's spent per expenditure, per object code. And so it's just, that's what it covers. But it's covering 16-17 data, so it's from 2 years ago. And that's the same stuff that we cover with our district audit information. But it's available to see.
Okay, the next piece that we need to talk about is our district accreditation status for 17-18. Every year, PEA assigns an accreditation status, either accredited, accredited warned, accredited probation, or not accredited revoked. So they look at our accountability ratings, our financial accountability ratings, our data integrity, and any program deficiencies identified through PPMAS. And I'm pleased to report that our 17-18 accreditation status is accredited. The next piece of the report is we're talking about campus performance objectives. So each campus in the district has a campus improvement plan, and the district has a district improvement plan as required by TEC. They include our performance objectives based on our data analysis and needs assessments, and each campus periodically measures their progress toward those performance objectives, and those were approved by the board, and they are posted on our district website for anyone to view. Our next part, I'm going to ask Mr. Ramirez to come in.
Good afternoon, Board President, Board members. The next part of the annual report actually includes a report on violent or criminal incidents in the district last year. Texas Education Code Section 39.306 requires each district publish, as part of its annual report, report on violent and criminal incidents at each campus. The report must include the number, rate, and type of violent or criminal incidents that occurred on each campus, as well as information regarding the school violence prevention, violence intervention policies, and procedures that the district uses to protect students. The findings and result from evaluations conducted under the Safe and Drug-Free Schools and Communities Act are also reported. The district's report for the 2017-2018 school year is available for review at the district central office and at each campus in the district. Last school year, there were 3 incidents that fell under this category, under the category of violent or criminal incidents. The 3 incidents actually occurred on just one campus at Southwest High School. The resulting rating was a 0.1% rating. There were no other incidents that took place on any of the other campuses throughout the district.
Do we have something on that that compares us to other districts on that too?
There isn't anything included on this particular report, but I can get the information for...
It's no hurry, but I'd like to see it if you don't mind.
Okay, yes, sir.
Is it mandatory that everyone report every violent incident?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I don't know, a couple of years ago, the media had Southwest ISD, Southwest High School, as one of the high schools with the most violent incidents in the city of San Antonio. And I found that kind of odd, because I don't even think we're the largest to begin with. So I was wondering if it was mandatory that everyone report those.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Anytime you have an incident that involves any missing of instructional time, every campus is supposed to complete the 425 record, which culminates into the meeting that eventually. And, you know, I can't speak for others. I know that we report every incident that does matriculate to law for instructional time.
You know, you don't know how the media is either. A South San, a Southwest, they get that mixed up all the time. South Side. Beg your pardon, sir? Thank you.
Okay. So our next part of our annual report is our student performance in post-secondary institutions. So we will be publishing as part of our annual report a report on student performance in post-secondary institutions during their very first year enrolled directly from high school. And that is compiled for us by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. And so the most recent report we have is for the class of 2015-16 graduates. So this is data that runs 2 years behind. So they also have included the grade point average for each of the students that they were able to locate that attended either a 4-year or 2-year institution of higher education during school year 16-17. So they're looking at fall of 16, spring of 17, and summer of 17 for this data. So Southwest High School, you can see that we had class of 2016, we had 79 of them. Those students go directly into a 4-year public university. We had 244 go into a 2-year public college. We had 14 go into an independent college and university. So that's 44% of our graduating class that year went to Institute of Higher Education.
Do we know how many went into the military?
That's not reported on this report, and for that class, we were not tracking that in PEIMS. We are now tracking that as part of accountability.
We know that last year, graduated class or 11 students who for graduation had signed up for military service. We don't know how many signed up in the first year after graduation or the second year after graduation.
TEA provides a glossary for all the terms that are in the taper. They have that available in both English and Spanish, and we'll be posting that on our website along with the taper report. So it will be posted on our website within 2 weeks after this meeting. Paper copies are also available at the district level or at each campus. And if there are other questions, you can always contact myself and I can answer those for you. So do you have any questions at this time?
So what Lisa has done, I think for the public meeting is done more of a comparison to bring the data to give you some comparison data about where we range in certain concepts and grade levels. And so it's a different look. All this information you all have received in previous meetings. I know Brandon did the first report and quite a lot more concentrated information. This is our requirement. So I really recommend Lisa for really taking charge and trying to put the data in kind of a context that provide you a sample of where we are compared to others.
Yeah, even I could understand that, you know.
All right. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Do you have anything else?
Now, unless the others have questions, for the meeting,
This is open to anybody. If anybody has any questions on any of this, just speak up and we'll try to answer them.
We'll have Lisa.
Or you can ask me later.
Yeah, Lisa will answer them. If not, we're going to close the meeting. Nobody has anything to say? All right, we're closed at 5:46. Yes, ma'am?
Can we start the other one at 6?
Yep.
Well, I think we should wait till 6. I probably do too. No, I don't have that. You give me a budget.
Oh, now board members, you better really watch out.
How you doing? All right, nice to see you.
How did my Aunt Marie do on her science fair?
Oh, she
We
explained
worked,
it
awesome.
so
We worked,
good.
we worked
So
really
she
hard on
wanted
it.
to for everything that you for see if it picked from all.
Oh, okay.
We put from our grade level and see how we shoot to other teachers. I could never present.
Good.
Are you sure there's not something ticking?
We worked hard on it.
Oh, good.
I'm hard of hearing, so there could be.
She was excited too to do it. Happy with it.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, us, for what y'all do. You do the nitty gritty.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
'Cause all we do is talk, you work.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you all. Y'all fattening up for the kill or what?
Know it.
Okay.
So, there's a gentleman here.
Well, how many?
Hanging in there. Hey, sir. Long time no see. How you doing? Good, man. How you doing? Is your wife over? I think all he does is ask for stuff. Jeez.
Because he needs one for T-Spro.
It's like dealing with my son.
Because he needs one for T-Spro. They both have a presentation at the same time. So, that's why.
4 trips with the truck and we
You able to get him on there, Janice?
Linda's pumping being
Tell him build a house of all I got $100,000 from him, so yes, they need to go first and call the
Everybody has to bring the truck.
You need to ask him. You need to ask him. Put him on there.
You know, this is nice, but it's too much.
I'm gonna do it.
There you go.
I'm gonna tell you that if you're gonna order the
Kobe sells tires, so they put him in tires and took pictures the other
They
day.
signed this, you know, and they signed so we can give it to them.
Huh?
Back in business.
Right, your phone? She's back.
Oh, my brother's a good mama, I'll tell you.
Alright. You got him on these
Don't practice for a while, don't get in a hurry.
Huh? I wasn't thinking of anything. I was like, I was wrong.
You're getting on there.
I won't be here for the February round ball.
Lucky you.
I'll be in Vegas celebrating my 60th. For Super Bowl weekend.
May I go?
Yeah, you're more than welcome.
I would say about
I know the meeting will be so exciting, I'll probably be
Saturday.
congratulations. Enjoy yourself.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I need a trip so bad. Our weekend's so busy since like November. It's been crazy.
Really, that's a good
That's a
thing.
good thing.
The wrong way.
Get you a lot of money to spend.
The wrong way.
It hurts so much.
That's what I mean.
The boys going along with you, or?
The oldest is. He's
Oh, that's great.
the other went, took me to the Cowboys playoff game. The other two did, and then we just couldn't get away. So
Borrow your son. Mine goes and tells me he's been there.
That was a good game to be at too. When they won.
Yes. This last one, I had.
Yeah, it's like 9 days. You showed up.
it will mix in, because
I
like
mean, they just ran right through. They never stopped.
the daisies, we'll mix all that in there. Yeah, we should be able to do it.
It looks like they'd have put 8 in the box if they had to do something to stop the run.
Let me put it on paper.
You know you can't run it up the middle of them because we got those 2 walls right in there. And you
But
keep
we-
trying to do it.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, can we do it?
Yeah, we could do it all.
No, it was a terrible game to watch. I went to bed in the third quarter. I haven't seen anything. It just showed that they're not as far along as they thought they were.
No. I think as much as everybody likes Derek, well, people even like him, I hate him. I think you need to make a coaching change.
Yeah, I think you need that, and I think you need a quarterback change too.
Well, the quarterback changes, who you gonna bring?
You're gonna have to draft one.
You gotta wait a year and have a real bad year next year so that you can get that kid from Cleveland.
That would
I
be
like that
someone.
kid. But he has to play another year.
Can you imagine that size and be able to move and all like he had in that cannon for the water? I didn't even know who he was until I watched the game. And then at the beginning of the game, I thought, well, he's probably a senior. Well, they took it to Alabama. I don't ever remember somebody coming in and doing that. If I'd have had a bet on the game, I'd have took Alabama.
That tree's back there.
Hey, sir, do you remember when we get to consent agenda, we're gonna pull this one item off?
No, I don't remember, but you were supposed to tell me.
Yes, I was supposed to tell you, we still have time.
Gonna be after.
Item I, the last one.
You want to take it
If we
off?
can pull that off and put it in items of information, and then just approve the consent agenda as amended.
You want me to make that motion?
Yeah, we're gonna move I to item, and just, the motion can be approved as amended. And then we're gonna present it. I will go to items of information.
Page 22.
Do I have to say, just as amended? Who wants me to make the motion for the consent agenda? Because I have to say as amended.
You're amending I, because that's what Sylvester was talking about. On the consent agenda, you're gonna amend it to move I to items of information.
You want to say
Oh,
it?
you're gonna do it?
No, you do it. Mona just asked me.
But I don't like the mo, I don't like the
How's your better half doing?
She got to go to the basketball game tonight. It was in Uvalde.
I went a couple of weeks ago.
That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
That would have been totally down.
Behind those guys are, I've never been that close. Don't put top, you know, they love regular size. I'm like, they need to move that basket up.
You know, they stand flat-footed and dunk. Well, it was really something, some of those big guys, how they're so agile now. It's just like football, you know, they get bigger and stronger and faster every day. That's one reason I think the concussion business had to be changed so much. I heard something on that other day. There was a player that he commented that was the main reason. I remember they said it was Reggie White, somebody made the comment that when he played, well, you know, we were the slow guys. Now you can climb as fast as the back.
Well, I went and watched that team practice down here the other day. We go, I said, yeah, I said, that kid there, he's high school at 4.3 and 40. He said, all these guys are 4.3 and 40. Some big old boys down there practicing ball. I got a picture with Trevor Knight, Dan Knight.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, he was the quarterback at A&M a couple of years ago. And then he signed with the Cardinals, he was with the Cardinals for a year, and then they cut him. But he can't play with the pro team. Get the pro players. It's been, some of the bad boys, they got cut, they played 2 years in the pro bowl. I mean, Michael Vick was down there to watch.
Well, you know,
They had a dog fight with each other.
you know,
He's a coach.
Knight had played for Oklahoma and then came and played for
He went to the
A&M.
Cardinals.
Yeah.
Remember Justin Stockton with Field?
He calls me for the conference. He goes, Mom,
No, they were with the other team. That's Justin Stockton. 2 weeks ago, he got just checked out from Seattle. But he was the third running back. You know what I'm saying? So they cut him after the season's over with. That's when they played the Steelers. Last year, he played the running back. That's Trevor Knight. He was the starting quarterback. Huh?
Hey,
No, Ray.
There's one good-looking guy, but who's the one on the right there?
That's the other quarterback from Southside.
Yeah, I remember him.
From all the
So I told you, watch it. They had a guy there was 6'11". They had a guy with 6'11". He I know he could snap it.
Y'all about ready?
So he's the one that started getting off. Here we go. Get it on.
Y'all ready?
3 times. 1, 2, 3. Stay happy.
Meeting come to order. Dr. Versta.
Yes, good evening, board members and staff, guests, students, parents. Great to have you at our January 15th meeting. To start off with, I'd like to introduce Ms. Janice Hernandez, who's going to lead us in our invocation, followed by the pledge of allegiance.
Please rise. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the students, staff, faculty, and alumni of Southwest ISD. And continue to remind us that all we do here today and all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of the truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, the next thing is recognitions.
Yes, sir, I'd like to officially wish everyone a happy new year. I know we're getting into January, and January is always a special time of year in education. We call it the School Board Appreciation Month. And so I know you guys are in here, there are a lot of gifts in front of you, and I want to commend our principals and our teachers and staff and students who put all that together for you. And so we have some special things to do for you, but before we do that, we're going to recognize some pretty phenomenal students we have in our school district. So again, I'd like to turn on Ms. Janice Hernandez, and we'll begin our recognitions.
Okay. So our first recognition for tonight is from Indian Creek Elementary. We have Jade Gonzalez, 5th grade student. Jade is an honor roll student, a member of the NEHS, a safety patrol officer, and on the junior lighthouse team. She is a jubilant member of Indian Creek's Beats by Brave Music Club and Fine Arts Club. Her brilliance can be seen in her school pride, her commitment to academic excellence, and how she treats others. When not involved with school activities, Jade enjoys going to church, reading, and being on her swim team. Jade plans on attending Harvard University, becoming an immigration lawyer, and eventually the president. Next, we'd like to bring up Crewald Elementary School's Caden Salazar. Caden is a 5th grade GT student who excels in his classwork and is an all-around good student and positive role model for his grade level. He enjoys helping people and doing things with his family, especially riding his bike with his brother. Caden's future goals are to go to college and possibly work on an engineering degree because he loves math. He wants to have a good paying job someday. Next, Scobie Middle School would like to recognize Aaliyah Kelly. Aaliyah proudly represents our school by leading her peers with encouraging words during a volleyball game during an NJHS meeting. She always comes in class with a positive and proactive mindset to get her work done to the best of her ability and always stays ahead of schedule. In the face of challenges, she demonstrates her grit and determination while always being willing to help out her fellow students. She has consistently proven her leadership skills as well as her commitment to a quality yearbook. Aaliyah personifies the word outstanding and exemplifies what it is to be a well-rounded student athlete. Next up, we have Southwest High School who would like to recognize Lauren Dana. Lauren is a current 12th grade student working towards graduation on June 1st. She has maintained a respectful grade point average of 3.6 and is currently ranked 35th out of her graduating class. She will be graduating under the Public Service Endorsement, STEM Endorsement, and Multidisciplinary Endorsement Plan. Lauren has taken numerous advanced courses and will earn a total of 33 college hours when she graduates. She is currently serving as the Vice President of the National Technical Honor Society, which has been a member for the past 3 years. Lauren plans to study psychology at the University of North Texas as she pursues to become a psychiatrist.
So I just want to point out, in all the years we've been doing this, Lauren's the first one that went the other way. Smart enough psychologist to do anything else. So we know behind our students every month are our parents and our families. So we ask our parents and families, would you please stand up and let us recognize you as well, and thank you for everything you do. Principals who are part of the experience of these students. Our principals, please stand up to the campus. So that's all we have, unless Lauren, you have something you want to say.
I just want to say thank you so much for opening the door and making me feel
So we're very proud of our students coming out, and thank you guys so much for being here, for everything you do. We have a really great school district, and the fact that you guys are being recognized by your teachers and by your administration says a lot about who you are and what you do and where you're going in life. So keep up the great work. Thank you so much.
Our next recognition, we're going to bring up Director of Facilities and Maintenance, Mr. Thomas Kruger.
Yes, good evening. Just so everybody knows, we participate with CPS every year in what they call their demand response program every summer. We're on peak load times during the afternoons for about 2 hours a day on the days that they actually call the demand loads. We turn off ACs and try and turn down our load to accommodate not having to have the rolling brownouts. So Joe Jones is here with CPS tonight to bring the rebate check that we had from this past summer. It's $188,169.10. So the only other thing I wanted to say, we've been doing it for 5 years now, and this year with this check we went over the $500,000 mark. So in the past 5 years we've been about $500,000.
Hey,
Do I
you
want
wanna
the
split?
check?
Can we split that 7 ways?
Are you asking, do I want the check, or do I want to be in the picture?
That's a great savings, and it's not that, we're not appreciative, but next time, could you round it up to 500,000?
I'd like to thank the district very much for participating in our program. It really helps out our community during those critical times during the summertime when it's 100 degrees or so. And for a couple hours a day, we had only 19 events over this whole summer. And it averaged out to about close to $5,000 an hour if you were paid for this work. So I'd like to give a special thank you for Thomas Kruger and his team for making it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Michelle Hernandez at our office.
Awesome.
Well, thank everybody for what they brought. My goodness, it looked like Christmas. Well, wait, it looked better than Christmas. My wife didn't get me anything.
We do. As part of tonight's celebration, members of the Legacy Titan Choir are here to perform for you, and thank you for your support of the choral program and fine arts. The choir is under the direction of Miss Sarah Cerna.
Well, that's good to know.
Oh, they're so nice.
And the final part of tonight's presentation is brought to you by Sky Harbor Elementary's District Teacher of the Year, Carl Dickerson. Carl, will you please stand up? And the Sky Harbor admin, which is also here tonight, administration. And that concludes our recognitions. We will be having some cake later on, right before closed session, so if y'all want to stick around for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Before we go any further, I want to thank everybody for all this. And I have really something for the parents that are here. I know that we've done and carried on everything that is with the kids, and what we're going to carry on now is going to be very boring. And if you would like to slip out now, I'll give you the opportunity. If you want to stay, we'd be glad to have you. But if you'd like to leave, I'll give everybody a minute or so to do that. No, not board members.
Hi, Mr. Kelly. How's your boy doing? What's he up to? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Awesome.
He's awesome guy now.
Yeah.
He done left. I don't think he's coming home. Hey, Gordon. Gordon, your girl. You ready? You got one more. Last one we can get y'all. Does she run a 4.342? Huh? Does she run a 4.340 also?
Yeah.
We look forward to watching her. That's what we want to have. We got practice. Oh boy, okay.
Aaron, right?
It's unreal.
Yeah.
Fine.
Hi, Miss Bendalee. How are you? Hey, let me tell you, you're never going to believe it, but Stevie is a teacher. Yeah.
I hope he gets back everything he
Right?
can.
He's let me tell you, let me tell you something. Yeah. He is Okay, hi. He's really...
Thank you, sir.
Front row. We parked right by the entrance.
We parked right. I know.
Yeah. And Joe?
We parked right by the entrance gate. Oh, go here, son. You go right here.
That choir was really something. I'd love to sing a choir like that. Yeah, they are.
All right, board members, the next thing on the agenda is the consent agenda. And on that, I need to make a correction on I. We're going to move I to under items of information. Other than that, do we have any questions on the consent agenda?
No.
We got it. I hear a motion? Thank you. It's been a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion carried. All right, the next thing on the agenda, Mr. Rodriguez, anybody speaking to the board tonight? Uh-oh.
Happy New Year!
Good evening, Mr. President, board members, and Dr. Versta. Southwest TSTA wants to take the time to say happy School Board Appreciation and give you a huge thank you for all you do for our district. It takes a special kind of person to take on the responsibilities that you have. Your vision and leadership is one to look up to. We want to continue to work with you to stand up for public education and guard anything against that takes away from our students and undermines our public schools. Since our 2019 legislative session started, we have a continued responsibility to put education first and make sure our legislators are doing the same. We cannot sit still, though. We need to come together even more to keep them accountable for their promises. TSTA put out a press release about the House budget. Lawmakers have an extra $9 billion in general revenue and a record $15 billion in their rainy day fund. With this information and our continued fight for public education, TSTA will be having a march to the Capitol on March 11th. We will have the opportunity to share our stories and show our solidarity in fully funding public education. We will definitely come back with more information next month when we talk about Southwest TSTA's Read Across America event that's coming up February 27th, 28th, and March 1st. Again, thank you, board members, for all you do for our district, especially our students. You are truly appreciated.
Thank you. And also that goes back, it's you people out there that do all the hard work. We sit up here and talk and make a few motions, but all of it where the nitty gritty is, that's where y'all are in the classroom. Our principals running the school, and we thank you. All right, moving right along. Items of information, construction.
Yes, good evening. To give you the Southwest High School Phase 2 construction update, we have Mr. Rafael Bedoya with Fluid Architects and James Nitchka with Joris General Contractors, as well as Mr. Galt Robinson with Joris General Contractors.
Good evening, everybody. Quick happy New Year's to everybody. For the board report that we're doing tonight, it's the board report number 7. So we've been at it just a little bit over 8 months. Through the last pay application that we processed, that was number 8. Through the end of the year, we're at 53% completion. So we're just slightly over the 50%. So we're kind of hopefully on the downhill now, looking to completion late in early August, and we're still on track to do that. In the general work that we're doing right now, most of the submittals have now been completed, so we basically processed all the paperwork regarding submittals. So Joris is now ordering materials, and they're going to be delivered on site for installation. The major work that happened over the break was electrical work upgrades, which means that they changed some transformers, some panels, some switch gear, and overall the work was completed. There was a few little things that they addressed right after we got back, but everything was ready for school. So we were very happy of that work. The work that's going on in the mall and the lobby, the wood floor on the amphitheater seating is now being installed. So that's good. And the wall laminate on the side walls and some of the walls in the back are also being installed or going to be beginning installation. They've completed the roofing work at the mechanical units on the roof, and they're going to be installing safety cages at skylights now that they've ordered the material. We're still waiting for it to come on site, but they should be installed once they get in. And they've been doing finishes inside the counselors' areas underneath the amphitheater and on the study labs, the study group rooms on top. They're already doing ceilings and they're already doing paint finishes, and they're beginning to install storefront windows and doors. So pretty soon they're going to start the flooring on that. And they've continued to work throughout the campus in several corridors throughout, kind of the plan that we've been doing to start addressing some of the corridors, mostly on the second floor. And we're actually releasing them for another corridor here in the next week. And we have been turning over areas. So the progress that George has been doing there has been excellent. We're starting to see some of the results, and the difference is noticeable. In the health careers on the inside, there's maybe a picture that I want to show you. That top left, you'll see some of the finishes that are going on inside the health careers that show some of the clouds that we're installing and the lighting, the accent colors, And right now, the only thing that's going to be kind of missing is the flooring. And after they do all the work above, they'll kind of come and do the flooring. But everything's been looking great there. And then I said already, the corridors. Another item is the fire alarm work. They've been progressing throughout, and they've been slowly going through the campus, upgrading. Other than that, anything you want to add, James? I think overall the work's been looking good, and we're happy with the progress, and we're continuing to go at it. So, if you all have any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. All right, the next thing is a monthly tax office report.
Wow.
What you think, Jane? Is that what it was? All right, the financial report, investments, gifts, enrollment report. Any questions on $50,000 or above? Calendar of events. All right, the auditorium use procedures.
Are you gonna sing for us like the choir?
No, ma'am, you don't want to hear it.
Dr. Verstock, you heard him volunteer, didn't you? He did.
Good evening, Dr. Verstev and Mr. Frazier and board members. I wanted to present to you some auditorium procedures. Now that we have 2 high schools and they've been up and running, we've kind of seen some of the uses that are being needed for the schools. As in other things that we have done here at Southwest ISD, we had a great operational plan of how we have been running our auditorium. But when we went back to look at where it is that it's written down, we couldn't find a place where it's written down. And so to codify that, I've taken some of our procedures and how we've been using our auditorium at Southwest High School and created a uniform procedure that we can use for both high schools now. And so most of what you see here reflected in this short document is basically how to procure the space, what is the appropriate use of the space, and some priorities that when it comes to fine arts events or school events and that sort of thing, those are going to take higher priority, whether they're UIL or what have you. Those events will take priority over something that's of lesser importance. And what's really nice, as you saw with the construction projects at both high schools, now we're going to have alternative spaces where meetings and those types of things can occur, so that not every single event has to happen in the auditorium. We've been very good about taking care of the auditorium at Southwest High School. I was looking at the dedication poster the other day, and it's been 15 years since we dedicated that auditorium, and it looks great. And we want to make sure that legacy continues to look great, so that we can say 15 years down the road that still looks, phenomenal. And at that point, Southwest will be 30 years old. So these procedures are just mainly to put it in writing, the procedures that we've been using all along, and to kind of, make sure that all the details are taken care of, because there's sometimes we're asked for specific uses of the space, and this is addressed by that document.
Questions?
What is the comment on this good Southwest looks, never thought it would throw this on and be so almost pristine. Part of it is the attention the kids pay to it, as you come into it, and make sure you don't have any groundwork or anything.
Right.
And it's just worked out real well for that person.
Yeah, I have to commend the theater department because they're the ones that are mainly the ones that are the auditorium managers for the space, and they do a great job with their student ushers and they themselves, making sure that the space is taken care of and that everybody gets what they need. So thank you for that. I will pass that along to them. Yes, it is. It is.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, the next is teachers new to teaching.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Frazier, members of the board, Dr. Verstev. This is the second report that I brought to you. I believe you have a handout that we gave you in your packages. I wanted to remind you that originally the concept of a leadership coach is the art of creating an environment through conversation. And that is exactly what we've been doing and what has been so very, very pleasurable. So I want to give you some numbers so you know where we were at the beginning of the year after we finally got all clear on it was the teachers new to teaching, so brand new. We had 41 teachers. We lost 2. One of our teachers was placed on leave, but that's maternity leave, not regular leave. But it's maternity leave, so she gave birth to, I believe, a lovely child and is back in the classroom. Interestingly enough, in talking to the principals, that we will be adding possibly 10 and 11 to our original cohort in the spring. So that's very exciting because they're a real pleasure to work with. You remember at the very beginning that I went over, because I have a series of interviews one-on-one with these folks that I do on a regular basis. And at the very first, I asked them, I have a whole series of questions, but they talked about what they liked about their position. And they were so quick to say, the kids, the kids, the kids. And that just means a lot to me personally. What did they find challenging? They're very honest about these things. When you can sit down one-to-one and face-to-face, they'll tell you how they really feel. The current and future work, I guess, I've completed about 200 conversations. It's the lucky thing I like to talk, right? Or listen, maybe that's more important, huh? And there are about 200 more to come. We meet every month with every single one of them, face-to-face, sometimes in groups. We're expanding our curriculum, and I'm going to give you just a taste of that. And this has been really exciting, to the science of wellness, which is the science of making sure that you try to be optimistic and resilient. That is on our shield. The Southwest wants its leaders to be optimistic and resilient, but we have to find some ways to teach them how to do that, and that's been an amazing thing for me. We completed what I call the December qualitative interviews. We're going to have a survey, and I'm going to give you the results of the qualitative interviews that we did with every single one of them. We're working on the survey. There's a research study that I've started with the teachers that I am right now gathering the results from, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. It's been fascinating. One of the things that I was asked to do was to establish Zoom meetings, which is the online, face-to-face meetings, and so technology has been helping me set those up, and we're getting ready to have our first ones with the high school English teachers. And we'll be using that more and more, and I think that that'll be a great learning experience for them. We're going to return to the leadership study. Remember, they were to pick a leadership characteristic from the Shield that they're working on, and then we're going to have a really exciting field experience. I really wish you all would consider joining us at Trinity, in that the historian has been working on a book and just has finished publishing it about leadership in turbulent times. So how do you lead when things are rough? And so what the writer did was select 4 presidents and studied the presidents during those times and their responses. So for example, one of them was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He had to deal with both a depression and a war. So those were turbulent times. And it looks and examines how he did it. It's Doris Kearns Goodwin. It's the writer. She's going to be speaking at Trinity. And I'm going to go and invite the cohort to go too. And I'll let you know when that is if you're interested. I think that would be a lot of fun. We'll continue those monthly conversations. They ask for those. They really do. And then we'll be doing the final survey and qualitative study at the end, and that will include a presentation with you. So I asked them very specific questions. I wasn't shy about it. What did they see as my role? What is the role of the leadership coach? And so I put the direct quotes from them. Exactly. Probably 60% of them use the word guide, an encourager, additional support, advise, shares experiences. They like that I tell them about my life as a teacher. One of them said that I let them talk about what they're doing and help them understand why. So that's probably good. That they want me to be open and honest. They feel like I accentuate, and they want me to accentuate the positive. I listen. I love the gal that said over at Scobie, well, you take care of the part that nobody teaches you about. You know, and they said, we love, one lady said, we love it because when you walk in, all you say is, how are you doing? You know, and so that means a lot to them. I asked them what they needed from me during the spring. We're co-creating this. This isn't just a moment of my work. The teachers are working with me, and so you can see what they have to say. Keep encouraging. Keep asking me, how am I doing? Keep being there. Help me stay positive. One of them said, have my back. You know, but coming and listening, I think that's really, really what it's all about. Now, in the midst of my learning experience, I came across what's called the Science of Wellness. You probably know as much about it, frankly, as when I found it as I did. It's a course that is offered at Yale University. It's also offered at Stanford. I think I was a little irritated, this is just a personal comment, that, okay, you get to go to Yale, you get to go to Stanford, and you already get a great education, and then they teach you how to be healthy mentally and resilient. I said that should go to more people. So we turned our learning into a research study, okay? Dr. Santos was teaching the most, you can Google this, by the way, please do, the most popular course at Yale University. She isn't teaching it anymore there because last year, the last time she taught it, Yale had to add 24 teaching assistants to keep up with the grading for her courses because everybody's wanting to take it. So she's put it on Coursera, which is an online platform for prestigious courses, and I'm signed up for that. But basically, she is part of a psychology study that studied people who self-identified as happy. They gave thousands of people this test, and if they answered a certain way, they self-identified as happy people, and then they traced the characteristics of these people. They wanted to see where their shared characteristics. And then they developed strategies. Strategies, there are 6 of them, that people who are happy use all the time on a regular basis, and they can be taught. So our teachers new to teaching they were told or asked to select 1 or 2 strategies to practice them for 2 months. And after Christmas, they're going to come back, and they are telling me the results of the use of the strategies. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Because our attitude, the teachers and me, is, you know what, if there's 6 things you can do that are going to make you positive and resilient, They need to go further than Yale and Stanford. Why don't we teach them to kids? Why don't we teach them to other people? Well, the district can decide when I bring the results of the study back and make some decisions based on that. They're written there for you. People who self-identify as happy are grateful. They're grateful people. Some of them are keeping a gratitude journal. Every day they're writing, on the first thing in the day, 5 things they're grateful for. Every day. It's interesting enough. Meditation is so big and so scientifically tied to this. And it was really interesting the other day because Miss Rosie Hidalgo got up and went through, she was crediting Holsworth, we're ahead of Holsworth, and took us through, as a group, through a meditation, which took about 3 minutes. And everybody there responded, it's about calming and clearing your mind. So there's an app that we've been using called Headspace, which is free, and I'll let you know about that. People who are happy know that when you make other people happy, it makes you happy. So random acts of kindness. Actually, people who are responsible. That feels very good. I've seen that in action. Replacing a habit loop with a wellness practice instead of an iPhone. And then there's a problem-solving piece called Whoop. But I'm meeting with them right now, and they're telling me which ones of these did they pick. The question's real easy. What did you pick? Did it work? Did you do it every day? Are you going to keep doing it? Do you think we should recommend it as a practice? So I thought that was something you'd be very, very interested in. This is just a report on that. They've selected one or more. We're reporting the results. We created this study to test these wellness practices, and we're going to share it with you all and with the district when we're through. So what are the lessons learned up until now? Kind of the same kinds of lessons. This work, focused on these new teachers, keeps helping me and us and you understand them more and more. It promises to inform Southwest in so many ways. Believe me, every single one of these men and women want to excel as teachers. They don't want to be bad teachers. They want to be great teachers. But they also want a life balance, resilience, optimism. They really, really, really respect their principals. That has been a wonderful learning thing. Some of them just, it's amazing. They want and they deserve a voice, these beginning teachers, in the work of teaching. They're very brave, they work very hard, and they are very eager to learn and lead in this district. My final slide, though, I mean this very seriously. In getting this work and getting it done, it's these principals that are sitting in this audience that have helped me more than anything. They know their teachers. Their judgments are very sound, and they've worked really hard. So thank you so much, principals, all of you. It's been amazing what you've done. Do you have any questions or? We had to get that straight. It is teachers. They are new to Southwest, of course, but they're new to teaching. It is the first time that they are in front of children, and those children are their responsibility. They've been practicing being a teacher and all those other things. But and Ida can identify with this. If she has a son who's doing it, new to teaching. There are other teachers in the district that are new to Southwest.
I just want to say I really like the fact that you've incorporated the fact that they need to have a voice, because a lot of times the new teachers don't really have a voice, and I think they go in with a lot of they're kind of naive, I guess. They're so excited to change the world, right? And we want that, but then we have the older teachers that are like, it'll stop. You just give it a year and it'll stop. But if we can just get a balance of that and get that excitement into the people that have been teaching for a while, I think it's important to value their voice and their opinion.
You are 100% right. They love that they get to talk. Because they say they don't talk in the meetings because of the older teachers, so that when they talk and they talk and they talk, and there's lots of them. I just put Mr. Devey on, when I was leaving. I keep asking the principals, you know, as I catch them here and there, do you think it's making a difference? You know, it's my job, but it's gotta make a difference. And, you know, Mr. Devion said, I'm just glad that somebody is talking to them and listening about these topics, about the way they feel, because, you know, it's so hard we have so many other things to do. So good for the principals for their honesty, and thanks to their help. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, the item that we moved down, policy FFAC local. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, Board. In 2015, we added a policy for administering epinephrine auto-injectors for emergency administration for an event of severe life-threatening allergic reactions. Just recently, in August 2018, the Department of State Health Services adopted new regulations that districts must comply with in order to continue administering unassigned EpiPens. District staff, along with guidance from TASB, is recommending attached revisions for FFAC local to maintain compliance with these new regulations for only on-site district-sponsored events. So on our revisions under FFAC local medical treatment, what we've added is that personnel must agree in writing to administering but also being trained for the unassigned EpiPens, auto-injectors, in accordance with this law and the revisions to this policy. What we've removed is the volunteers. This only applies to school personnel, and also that this is only applying to on-site school-sponsored events. Nothing in transit, nothing on other district or other campus campus sites. In addition, we've removed the off-campus policy portion that was originally in there, but it really never been practiced at the time due to fiscal issues and concerns about making sure that we could have someone trained on the buses for every field trip that happens. In addition, we do have a designated individual. Valerie will be overseeing managing the policy implementation and also training for all personnel, district personnel, that is now going to be responsible for doing that for on-site events. The last thing that we must also include is we must send out notification to parents explaining these changes to our epinephrine program and any other changes that we might end up making down the road as well.
Do we have, you probably do, but do we have the children identified on the campuses that are potential?
Those that have known
Right.
allergic reactions, absolutely, yes, ma'am, as long as the parents let us know that information.
Right, and so we have EpiPens on all of our campuses and
Yes.
in the event that,
Currently, we have 2 EpiPens
okay,
on each campus. In the case of a student who has an unknown allergic reaction,
okay,
which can happen, I mean, 40% of children now have severe life-threatening allergies. That equates to 2 in each classroom. So whether it's known or unknown, we're ready to act with those unassigned epinephrine pens.
And who decides this is the nurse?
The nurse.
And when we're talking about training, those administrators who are looking at systems or and who else?
And staff members, those
Correct.
who,
Everything, teachers.
those who
Coaches,
may have like
correct.
after-school programs who are in charge of that, just so that way somebody is present and knows what to do.
And know how to access it while it's on campus as well. Correct.
It's not, currently it's in the clinic. We are currently looking at cabinets to store them so that they're even more readily accessible.
right. And so, if I'm a teacher and I know that one of my students has whatever, life-threatening allergy, am I trained?
Yes.
Okay. And then I run to the office and get the pen and go back to the
Right.
class or
Now,
what?
if they have a known allergy, hopefully we have an EpiPen prescribed by the doctor. We have an allergy action plan
Right.
on file.
And I have the EpiPen in my class, or?
That would be in the clinic. But those, if a student brought their own EpiPen, that does go on the work.
Okay.
These are unassigned, like, we just have them in case.
Okay.
So what happens if a child has, something that's like something on the bus?
We would call the EMS. We would call the EMS. But the time on a bus is limited, shorter, as opposed to the school day. And if that were the case, if we wanted to do that, we have to purchase these EpiPens, which cost more than $490, and ensure that they go on every single bus stop, every single field trip. That's very challenging to ensure.
I was thinking about field trips, I wasn't even thinking about the daily.
Right.
But that's, yeah, no, right, they're on the bus on the way.
But if my child has a severe allergy and I want his EpiPen to go with him on his field trip, then the teacher takes it or what?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And bus, we do training with bus drivers.
Awesome.
Right. It would be cumbersome to provide that many EpiPens.
And they're like only good for
Exactly, they're only good for about a year. And right now, we're getting them through an EpiPen for School program, which only allots two EpiPens per campus.
Other questions?
Yeah.
In the past 3 years, we've used them about 12 times, which equates to about 2 more. We do use them.
Yeah. Good idea.
Anybody? Thank you. Thank you. All right, board members, items 7 will postpone, going into item 8, which is Bear South Legislative Agenda Proclamation.
Good evening, board members, President Frazier. Thank you.
It's always nice when the superintendent designates you,
Yeah,
right?
you know,
Hear that
voluntold is the way to go. Thank you. With the start of the 2019 Texas State Legislative Session, Bear South, which is a group of school districts comprising of East Central, Edgewood, Harlandale, Somerset, South San, and Southwest Independent School Districts, they've released a legislative agenda. And tonight I've given you an amended copy based on some edits, and it's there beneath your packets. And if you'll bear with me, I'm gonna read it for everyone to hear. Under the heading of school finance, we support funding schools that adequately and equitably reduces the state's over-reliance on recapture and property value increases. Funding should reflect the cost of education with adjustments to changes and based on student needs. We oppose supplanting the state's prior year contribution with increases in local property tax revenue. Oppose any state plan that would use vouchers, tax credits, taxpayer savings grants, tuition reimbursements, or any other means to divert public school tax dollars to private schools, homeschool programs, charter school partnerships, or any other entities that are not financially transparent or academically accountable to taxpayers, communities, and the state of Texas. Support investments of all current revenue to be dedicated to education without a reduction in state support. Oppose the state using education supported property tax revenue to offset other state-funded programs. Support operational and facilities funding for full-day pre-kindergarten. Support funding for career and technical education programs for 8th grade students. Under the heading of accountability, support adjusting the state's academic accountability system to ensure it reflects equitably and accurately the performance of districts and all schools, including private schools and charter school partnerships, without the use of forced failures or an over-reliance on standardized tests. Support funding for SAT/ACT test administration as required alternate assessments under the state's Every Student Succeeds Act plan. Support the modification of the current accountability system to increase the weight of the community-based measures for district and campus ratings. Under the heading of local control, support adequate notice and information about charter school expansion to increase transparency in the amendment process and prevent an oversaturation of charter schools in particular geographic areas. Support local school boards to require criminal background checks for school board candidates to confirm candidate qualification and support the disqualification standard of a candidate who has been convicted of a felony. Support legislation that holds open enrollment charter schools and boards of charter schools to the same transparency standards to which traditional public schools are held. Oppose the use of the permanent school fund to back charter school bonds with a low underlying rating. Support legislation requiring charter schools to adopt true open enrollment practices and to comply with the elements of Texas Education Code, Chapter 37. Under the heading of school safety, support additional and sustaining funding for school safety, and support flexibility in how local community boards utilize new funds to meet their safe school needs. We would ask that the board adopt this amended proclamation by this Bear South legislative group and the Bear South legislative agenda.
Questions? Anybody else?
Other school districts in Bear County have similar goals, or will there be some that have different?
So we're all going to reinforce each other, basically, across the inclusive. So you expect all the other districts to, in some way, shape, or form, communicate the same thing?
Is SAISD part of the, are they part of the Bear County Coalition? Are they part of anything? SAISD. They're not part of this.
Anybody else? Need a motion?
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, Will.
Thank you.
All right, moving down to business and financing buses.
Yes, sir. We've got Mr. Mercury Rose to present on purchasing of school buses.
So our transportation department is in need of replacing aging buses. District staff is requesting to purchase 3 72-passenger diesel buses and 1 special needs bus to add to our district fleet. All buses will be furnished with seat belts to be in compliance with Senate Bill 693, air conditioning, and interior cameras for safety purposes. We are requesting to purchase from Thomas Built Buses at a total cost of $434,443 for the 3 72-passenger buses and the 1 special needs bus. We're requesting that the board consider approval of this purchase.
And this will be from the bond funds, the 24 bond funds, towards the end of those funds.
I move.
Correct. Well, we've been doing that. There's a couple $1,000, but we've looked to study the difference on our, not only with us, but other around the cost and the fuel and maintenance on the buses. And over time, the Thomas buses actually will cost us less maintenance and with fuel efficiency. And so we really, over the last couple of purchases, have gone with the Thomas buses just because of that. It cost us up front, but it's been, it's a belt, we feel like it's a better bus built, fuel efficiency, and there's no other reason but looking at maintenance and fuel costs. And over there, all the same kind of fuel? Diesel.
Diesel.
Well, we have some already with AC. And that's the main reason is we took the other cost into consideration.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you, sir. All right, on curriculum, the first thing is Southwest ISD Pre-K for All.
Good morning, good afternoon, Board, and happy Board Appreciation Month.
Thank you.
So you're getting copies momentarily. You have a copy of our pre-kinder, kinder roundup flyer. As you know, this is that time of the year. Actually, we bumped it up. So we're rounding up. We started today over at Sky Harbor Elementary, so we'd like to thank Ms. Acuna and her staff for starting that off. Those are passing around, I'm going to talk about our pre-kinder, kinder roundup. We started today over at Sky Harbor, and we will have those going all the way through April the 4th as we visit the campuses, working with our Head Start staff and working on roundup, not only for our pre-kinder, but kinder as well, so that we can begin early enrollment. And this year, we're actually starting with other grade levels as well, so it's not only pre-kinder, kinder, but based on prior experiences in pupil services and phone calls, parents sometimes visit the district early if they're military and they want to be able to get their children enrolled, so we're actually starting those registrations early as well. So that's something new for our district this year. So by now you should all have a copy of the pre-kinder and kinder roundup flyer. These have already been passed out to all the campuses. Our print shop has printed some wonderful copies, and they're sending them home with all the children about 2 weeks before their roundup date is scheduled, so that all students at all campuses will take these home. We also have these made as posters, and these have already been placed and will be placed in additional locations within the community. So Dollar General, out by Miller's Pond, anything that falls within the boundaries of Southwest ISD. So we're also doing that. And thanks to our media department, they've also sent flyers and postcards home to all the families that reside within the district to make sure that we're not missing any of our students. So this evening, I'm coming to you to present our proposal and to ask for your approval for us to start a Southwest ISD pre-K for all with the 1920 school year. So as you know, the importance of a high-quality early childhood education, we all know that this is important for our children, but we want to make sure that everyone understands that, of course, that putting children in an environment strategically designed, again, with early childhood education in mind,
will help to boost that brain development, and that's a wise investment in our future. And we saw a lot of that today with these students, who many of them have been with us since they started in pre-K, and to see where they're ending up. So we know that that's very important. And then a great pre-kinder program gives children a strong foundation in all of those core content areas, and also help to develop a genuine desire to learn, because they're learning through natural play and development. So if you go into a pre-kinder classroom, it looks like there's a lot of play, but that's a lot of exploration, and that's what our children need to be able to be exposed to. So what they don't learn is, we know that there's a lot of work within the digital world, and our children being given laptops and the social media, some for our young children, as well as iPhones to play with. But we want to make sure that it's strategic, and that it's, most importantly, age appropriate. So as we said, we want to be able to impact the future, and it's great to see every day, every meeting, as we start out our presentations, and see the recognitions of what our students are accomplishing. So again, studies have shown that investing in a great pre-kinder program will have more significance in a child's future than college, and we want to be able to offer this for all of our students who live within the boundaries of Southwest ISD. I really like this quote from Bill Gates. It says, "The first 5 years have so much to do with how the next 80 will turn out." So again, rounding up with our pre-kinder and kinder, these are our 4- and our 5-year-old students. So our proposal is, again, to increase this, but we would also be increasing our student enrollment. So again, we're looking at staffing, and then that naturally would increase our ADA by making pre-kinder available to all 4-year-old students, regardless of the 5 traditional qualifiers. And I know we've had many discussions over the years about that, so let's look at those 5 here. Those traditional qualifiers are that a student would qualify by language. That means a student is unable to speak or comprehend the English language. The student is considered economically disadvantaged. That means they're eligible for the free or reduced lunch. They are homeless, as defined by the McKinney-Vento Act. They also could be a child of an active duty member of the armed forces, or the parent could have been killed in the line of duty. And the last is foster care. There is one additional, which they just recently added. We didn't add it here because there's only been 3 instances within the state of Texas, but that's called the Rising Star. And so that's for our first responders who were killed in the line of duty. So that is an additional factor. We have never had anyone call us. In order to qualify, the parent does have to actually bring the certificate that was given to the family by the governor, but we do have that additional qualifier. So looking at our current numbers. Excuse me.
I'm a little confused. What it says is increase as Southwest ISD student enrollment and ADA by making pre-kinder available to all 4-year-old students, regardless of the 5 tradition.
Right. So right now,
It doesn't matter.
She's just telling us what
Right.
they were.
Yeah, no, but it doesn't matter.
No.
Right?
correct.
Okay. So there's really, at some point, there's no sense in having that.
Right. This,
Anybody in the district would be available. Right, good point. No, I think it's wonderful.
okay, thank you. So do we. Thank you. All right. So looking at our current pre-kinder enrollment, in our gen ed classrooms, we have 21 classrooms throughout the district. We have 388 students. In our bilingual pre-K in the district, we have 9 classrooms for our pre-kinder students. We have 153 students. So with those 30 classrooms, we have 541 students. With our open seats available, and with that 541, if we were to fill, because in a pre-kinder classroom, as you may be aware, with our enrollment at elementary, we have a 22-to-1 ratio. At pre-kinder, though, we only have 20 students to the teacher and the aides. It's a little bit different. So looking at the open slots that we currently have available in general ed, we could still fill 32. In our bilingual, we could still fill 27, giving us 59 open seats. However, when we receive phone calls for parents saying that they would like to enroll their child, if they don't meet one of those 5 qualifying factors, we unfortunately have to turn them away. So as we're starting Roundup, we know that we're going to get those phone calls based on my meetings with the elementary principals, qualitative data that we've collected from their phone calls with parents. If a parent is out in our district and they know that they're overqualified, they're not bringing the child in because they know that they're not going to be able to register the student. So we're basically turning away some of the students in our district because they're overqualified, because right now we have these 5 qualifying factors. But if we can approve pre-kinder for all, we would be able to offer this for all of our students in Southwest ISD.
Patty, I know that we opened our borders for the city, right? And you can just open enrollment. is that gonna apply to pre-K?
Right now, we're looking that we would, to start this program, it would be for children, pre-kinder children who live within the boundaries of Southwest ISD.
Or employee children? Employee children also?
Well, that's kind
Oh, I'm
well,
sorry.
no, that's okay. Go ahead. So that currently falls under the policy that we have where employees can bring their children to school. So we would extend that to our employees for a pre-kinder. In the past and currently, it's only available for employees for children in kinder through 12th grade. But if this would help with retention and to help our employees as well, that's something that we can additionally look at. But we are already receiving phone calls.
So do you think that's gonna affect the open enroll, like if a family wants to put their third and fourth grader at Elm Creek because we have open enrollment, but we don't allow them to put the pre-kinder kid, then you think it's gonna, aren't we trying to get enrollment? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if from outside the district, if I want my 2 children to go to Elm Creek, but I live on the north side, but then I have a 4-year-old, that 4-year-old can't go to Elm Creek also. But if they don't.
So with the, if we were to go with the pre-K for all for our 4-year-olds, again, only a 4-year, not a 3-year-old program. So as I stated earlier, based on parent feedback to principals, parents do want to enroll, but we're having to turn them away right now. So we want to be able to, as Dr. First have said, increase our engagement with students and parents early as we start that for all of our students that live within the Southwest ISD. So again, if we can start earlier, we can provide that foundation that they need to be successful later on. So this is just the current enrollment by counts by campus so that you can see, as I said before, we have a total of 541. You can see from our general ed and bilingual ed. So those classrooms where we don't have 40, you can see those are where we would have some openings because it's 20 per classroom. So a 20 to 2 ratio, which is the adult and the 8 in the classroom. So here is the estimated cost. And again, these are rough numbers. So again, based on conversations with the principals feeling like they have at least in the last several years, turned away at least 20 parents each because they were overqualified. They did not meet those additional 5 qualifiers. And I know some of you have called me before and asked, and there's been questions. So the round number that we're going in, again, just ballpark estimate, is 220 additional students per site. So looking at that, that would mean 11 additional teachers, then you have the cost there with the benefits, 11 additional aides, 10 additional lunch monitors because of the monitoring that has to take place with the children while they're eating lunch in the classroom. Southwest Elementary already has an additional, so that's why it's only 10 on that number. So looking at the total estimated personnel and staffing is $996,396. Then looking at the furniture, the curriculum, the assessments, And the transportation and child nutrition, that's adding an additional $211,000 for a round estimate of $1.2 million. So I respectfully come to you to ask you for consideration of this approval so that we can extend pre-K for all to all 4-year-old students who live within the boundaries of Southwest ISD. The only other district in my conversations with some of the staff over at Pre-K for SA, because I work with all the districts, East Central is looking to possibly extend something very similar next year, but they have not yet formally adopted that.
So they give us grants where, assuming this cost, making the assumption that they're gonna give us the same amount of money in grants.
No, this would not be covered through the grants because for
I
those.
know, because you just told me that those qualify,
Right.
because we're assuming we use the dollars for the development.
Right.
So they cover the full cost of those training with the grant?
With the grants, yes, for those classrooms that we have.
Well,
Well,
well, we get that day the eighth and then we come to school. And then we have Head Start funds that cover a portion, which right now we're at about a 36 split. We pay 64%, they pay 36. And then in the pre-K for SA grant, we just got some additional funds to cover about 7 classrooms. If you remember back, we used to have we had pre-K for SA grant for about 3 classrooms, and then we got the high quality grant from the federal government, from the state government, and that went away and we replaced it with the currently in all our pre-K classrooms, we're covered half by either a grant or Head Start, or pre-K for Head Start, or ADA.
And we're anticipating that continuing money.
Well, hopefully, yes, I don't see us changing, I don't see Head Start changing, pre-K for SA, we just got this grant, but no, depends on their funds. So the 300,000 we get from pre-K for SA for 2 years, and we have to go and use it in the next 5 years. Depending, they may give us more.
There's somebody on this board that's been asking for this for how many years?
33.
30.
That's right.
Maybe not by then.
So you ought to make the motion.
Yeah, I can't tell you how happy she is.
I remember over the years your many conversations.
So I move.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, and we thank you, because Keith has pressed for this for years.
We thank you very much.
It took him 33 years for a superintendent to listen to him.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Patty.
Thank you.
Can we what?
What'd you say? All right, moving on, the next thing is courses for secondary schools.
Good evening. I have Amanda Hardy, the CASTEM counselor, with me, and also Eliza Battle, so we can discuss new courses for secondary and also new pathways for CASTEM. Tonight, we're asking approval for new courses to support the CTE pathways that were approved at the November board meeting. Also, we're asking to create more opportunities for our CASTEM students. We just heard the future aspirations for the students of the month, and one wanted to be an engineer. So currently, with the pathways that we are asking for approval, students, it's here at Southwest, we're creating a pipeline for students to earn a degree in engineering. So we are asking for approval for the CASTEM pathways in engineering, advanced manufacturing, power energy, and global logistics. So students who will go through these pathways will have an opportunity to graduate with an associate's and/or a industry certification. So we wanted to look at the CASTEM pathways and also the list of new courses that would support the pathways. As you can see in their 9th grade year, all students will be taking the same course, but that'll give them an opportunity. We know freshmen, they change their mind, they change their pathway. So instead of, if they do change their mind, instead of them taking an additional class, if they choose another pathway within CASTEM, they would have an opportunity their sophomore year to go ahead and take the second class without losing a class within their 4-year plan. And then also we do have the list of courses. And this should be in your board book. So instead of introducing two different documents, we went ahead and merged the two new courses for CASTEM and then also for the CT pathways that were approved in November. Are there any specific questions on the courses or the pathway for CASTEM?
Anybody?
Is this take into consideration all the problems we had at the beginning of the school year with the schedule and the time in the class and all that stuff? Okay.
Yes, right now we're in the process of cleaning up courses that are no longer being used. So then if approved tonight, then these would be added to the course catalog.
Anybody else? Need a motion?
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. All right, the new pathways for secondary schools.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
No, I just need to put that. It's just slow, sorry. Yeah, so those cover both of our agenda items.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. What are your 2 million more things?
I have one thing. Can I say one thing?
Sure.
I just wanted to recognize Mr. Tamayo and his bus driving staff. In December, we had an incident in the school district where an aunt that was supposed to be home to watch her niece and nephew forgot and wasn't home. And by the time that she realized, which was me, that I'll come clean, that I wasn't going to be there when the kids got off the bus. I was like in a panic mode because they're in first and second grade, and then Luke has autism. So anyway, I called Mr. Tamayo, and right away he was on the radio and called the bus drivers, and just really, I mean, they didn't get a hold of the first bus driver in time, but he was so, he just stayed there. I don't know what the policy is, but he just stayed there till my niece went and knocked on the door and nobody answered. So he just took him back to Sun Valley, which was just, I mean, it just could have gone really bad. And then the special education bus, she always waits right until somebody lets Luke in the house. But it just was really a testament of how much our bus drivers care about our children, because, I mean, it could have just really ended really bad. And how quickly Mr. Tamayo was to get on
Where
the...
is he out there? Is he here? There you are.
So I wanted to recognize him for that, but I also wanted to express a small concern that I really think it's important that if they need an additional staff member to always answer the phone during bus routes, because I know they get super pulled everywhere, but because when my sister called the bus garage, nobody answered the phone. And so it's just and it's not a reflection on them because they're so busy and bus drivers don't show up and whatever, but I don't know what we can do to always make sure that somebody's always there to answer the phone during the active bus routes. So, but they did everything textbook and making sure that those babies didn't get dropped off to an empty and not be able to get in the house. It was just really a good testament of their work.
You need to stop hiding back here. All right, Mr. Superintendent, what you got?
Very good.
Anybody else have anything? All right, I'll read these numbers and we'll go to executive session. Under Texas Government Code 551.072, we go into executive session. We come back into regular session at 8:15 and we go back to superintendent's recommendation.
Move we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Who wants that?